Creatures of the night, it's your girl Tati. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. We started off with tag team action. We had our stepdaddy Christian teaming up with Hangman Adam Page going against Rock Hard Juice Robinson and Jay White. Obviously, we do have Kip Sabian and Mama Wayne and Nick Wayne there ringside. Where are the ass boys? No clue. Now, this was a decent opening match. And you guys know that there's beef between, Christian beefing with everybody. He got the contract still on the little clipboard, which sometimes I keep forgetting about because I know we're having a little bit more of a focus on what Jon Moxley is doing and him and kind of having the world title. I guess that's what we're calling it, since Marina's the one who's walking around with the title as of late. Now, really decent way to open the show. We do have Nick Wayne, who is getting involved here in this match, Kip Sabian as well, and then Hook comes from the crowd and ends up attacking Nick Wayne for no reason at all. They end up taking the fight into the audience, and we don't see them any longer, but Kip Sabian ends up hitting Juice Robinson with the clipboard, and then from there we do have Hangman, who ends up taking the win with the dead eye. Not bad way to start off the show. Now, after this, we do have CEO and Camille coming into the building. They are doing a slight little interview. They look like they literally got off of a flight that was like 50 hours or something. They just look worn out, especially Camille. And while they're talking, Camille, she gets inside the room, and then we have the CEO, she's still talking to Renee, and then we can see Chris Statlander all the way in the back watching, and then here she comes and attacking. So then now Camille and CEO and Chris Statlander, they're fighting in the hallway. Camille has her arm in a sling. She ends up hurting her arm onto the wall. And then all three of these women went through a wall. Y'all remember that paper wall that Samoa Joe went through? It was pretty much that. I cannot believe they did the paper wall thing again. All right, so up next we do have William Ospreay. He comes out. He's supposed to do an interview with Tony Schiavone, but he asked Tony Schiavone to leave politely, unlike everyone else, because he knows that things are going to get nasty between him and Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher, he comes out, and I'm not going to even lie about this. This right here was boring as hell to me. It was like back and forth, kind of like we're just discussing the things that we've already talked about again and again and again, and nothing felt new about this. And Will Ospreay, I feel like, although I do enjoy him in the ring, I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, absolutely. Something about his promos kind of reminds me of Dax Harwood a little bit, where it's like there is a message, there's a point to where I'm going. It's going to take me a long time to get there, but we're going to get there. And I don't like that when it comes to promos. It's either you know what to say, you're confident with what you're saying, and you go out there, you make your huge points, and then you close it off. And sometimes I feel like if someone is not in the ring with Ospreay to kind of help guide him through, it just feels like he's rambling. And even with Kyle Fletcher, I felt like it was still a lot of rambling. Long story short, Kyle Fletcher, lets him know that he wants to go against him at Full Gear. William accepts his challenge, but y'all already know that obviously Don Callis' family, they're never alone. So here comes Lance Archer and Brian Cage getting their little TB time. And then William Ospreay has Powerhouse Hobbs. Lord have mercy. Powerhouse Hobbs, we need you in the Hurt Syndicate. I don't know what this is with William, but we need you with the Hurt Syndicate. Now, also, who came out with them? Mark Davis ended up coming out there with them as well. And honestly, it's just a babyface group versus the heel group. They go at it. But at the end of this whole thing, we do have Lance Archer, who is standing tall. Kind of felt weird for a moment until you realize that he has a match up next with Roderick Strong. Now, this right here was very, very strange. Very strange. I felt like up until the match had started that we had no clue that this was a Falls Count Anywhere match. I don't remember hearing them say that. I could be wrong, but I don't remember hearing that. Everybody on the panel and on the chat was just like, what? We just doing whatever? I don't know, something about that was a little bit off, but they end up having their match starting in the back. Now, then they end up getting through the crowd, and then we have people like Brian Cage and getting involved, and then that's when the Kingdom came out to help. It felt like a hot mess, and the match was over what seems relatively quick. And to be honest, from what I saw, it didn't even really feel like a match at all. Most of it was outside of the ring, but not feeling more of a match, kind of feeling like two people got together and they started fighting and now their friends just got into it, but not like a match. I didn't like this at all. Roderick Strong ends up taking the win, and he has a nasty gash on the side of his arm that just came from God knows where. And I'm just like, bro, you better get to the back and get that taken care of. And it doesn't look like he's in a rush to get that taken care of. So instead of him going back there to get medical attention about that gash on his arm, he ends up getting on the mic and he's saying that he is going to take care of MJF. MJF is sitting in some haunted house with a flat screen TV somewhere watching the show, and he's letting him know that he's going to go against him at Full Gear. But that's if Adam Cole can win his match. So then, boom. Well, literally, here comes Adam Cole, who comes out. He has his match with Takeshita. And the whole time sitting there, I was like, Tony Khan, you better motherfucking not have Adam Cole. You know what? We took Adam Cole beating Malachi Black, which was unacceptable. We took Adam Cole beating Buddy Matthews, which was unacceptable. But for him to beat Takeshita, a champion, absolutely just unforgivable if that were to happen. So, a decent match with the two of them. And once again, Adam Cole is looking very orange. Now, I think we solved the mystery of it being a bronzer, because when he takes off the knee pads, his knee is like ghost white. And for whatever reason, I guess he's just putting the bronzer over or his gear or whatnot. And for me, I don't know. It kind of makes him look a little sick or something. I don't know. Don't like the look. Whatever the situation is, Takeshita at some point gets a moment to go under the ring and pull out the Dynamite ring, puts it on his finger, and ends up hitting Cole dead in the face. And that helps him take the win. And even the referee was kind of like hesitating to count. And I'm just like, bitch, do your job and start counting to three. Like, what are we hesitating for? It was what it was. And Takeshita ended up taking the win. Did I like how it happened? Not really. It's the heel thing to lose. The heel thing to win. To do. But Takeshita didn't really have to resort to doing any of that stuff, because he can honestly beat Adam Cole. That's just the truth. He can beat Adam Cole clean. However, for storyline purposes, I totally understand why it happened that way. So this whole Adam Cole thing can still play into this whole situation. Now, after the match, MJF, he's watching, he laughing from whatever haunted house he's at watching the show. And we had Roderick Strong who came out there. Takeshita is trying to beat up on everybody that's over there. And Kyle O'Reilly actually came out there to help his quote-unquote friends or ex-friends, whatever situation is. Now, Takeshita ends up going to stand by the stage. And then that's when Ricochet put his nose into people's business and end up putting his hands on our international champion. Now, Kyle O'Reilly, he goes there to help Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, but doesn't seem to want to stay and I don't know, rekindle their relationship or whatever. He ends up leaving. All this while wearing that damn conglomeration shirt. Damn you, Orange Cassidy. All right, so now what was very, very, very disappointing to me, the Death Riders, they pulled up to the building, commercial break. And this was advertised as in Mox take over the Superstation, the TBS Superstation, whatever. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, this is gonna be nothing but, the Death Riders pretty much showing everybody why they should fear them. And all this was Jon Moxley getting over there, talking on the microphone, Orange Cassidy showing how horrible he is at promos. This guy's not good at speaking, and I can see why he spent pretty much most of his career putting his hands in his pocket quietly instead of talking, because he's not great at promos. Something about it, there's no conviction in his voice. He doesn't come off as a leader in terms of what he say and how he say things. I think we could use, I don't know what we're gonna do with you, Orange. I don't know. But this absolutely sucks. Something about this where it's just like Moxley came out there with the Death Riders, and they came out there with JD Drake. JD Drake, usually featured on a Ring of Honor. He's been gone for several months from an injury, and they were beating up on him. And I'm just like, oh, y'all making some type of statement with this, and then they're in the ring just talking, and I'm just like, something about this felt very weak. I thought we were going to see John Moxley and the crew like making examples out of people, and honestly, I didn't see that at all. And it was another one of those things where, just like earlier with William and Kyle, kind of felt like we were just hearing the same things that we've heard so far these past few weeks between Orange Cassidy and John Moxley. Nothing about this felt new. Matter of fact, it felt disappointing because this takeover ain't takeover shit. And honestly, I didn't like this. The crowd didn't really seem to be moved by this at all either. And honestly, I don't know where we're gonna go from here with this story. I'm bored. So to make matters worse, we do have Orange Cassidy, who calls Wheeler Yuta a pawn, and that he's going to take care of Wheeler Yuta next week on Dynamite. Very interesting. While he's talking shit about Wheeler Yuta's like, I'm not no pawn, I'm not no this. And then Claudio is behind him, basically telling him, Wheeler Yuta, to shut up and everything. And I'm just like, look at how they're treating him. This is wild. Now, long story short, they're getting into a scuffle, and they end up making it through the crowd. Now, somehow, some way, somebody just jumped out of the blue, and it's Darby Allin with a coat, and he has a pink Sting mask for whatever reason. I don't know. There's something new they're selling. And that's when the conglomeration and Darby and Death Rider start getting to foolishness. And that's when I realized that Marina handcuff broke from the briefcase, and she's trying to save it and trying to make it seem like that didn't happen. But girl, we saw it. We saw it was broken. And they end up taking the whole thing to the back, and it was what it was. A little bit later, we do see that while they were pulling out with the truck to leave the parking lot, Darby Allin gets in the back of the truck bed. We do have him and Claudio get into it. Claudio ends up swinging his ass, throwing him up into the wall and everything, and they end up driving away. Absolutely insane. Tony Khan, I'm bored. Up next, we had the ladies in action, DMD versus Penelope Ford. Decent match for both of these ladies. We haven't seen Penelope Ford in like over 2 years. We did have like 2 or 3 matches with her these past few weeks, and I do think that she's improving. A little bit of ring rust, I would say, but she's definitely looking better in the ring. And then we also have DMD, who just pretty much wins everything. So we knew where that was going. What's next for DMD? No clue. After this, Lio Rush versus Swerve. And this I would say this is probably the best match of the night for me. We knew why this was happening. Lio Rush basically put out there that, he's big and bad, and perhaps Hurt Syndicate would take him seriously if he can take a win over on Swerve. Now, he does not take a win over on Swerve, but I do feel like if they want to take Lio Rush under their wing, that Lio Rush is proving definitely with even the wins and the losses that he's taken, that he's definitely a tremendous wrestler. So he always looked great in whatever he does. But Swerve was just the better opponent tonight. Now, after this, Swerve ends up calling out the Hurt Syndicate. He mentions that they are in Stamford, Connecticut, and the crowd is like, bitch, we are in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And throughout this whole thing, they're chanting, this is Bridgeport, this is Bridgeport. Even when the Hurt Syndicate come out there, they're still chanting. So the whole world can know that they're in Bridgeport. I'm just like, all right, get over it. We make mistakes. They get into it, the Hurt Syndicate and Swerve. And they even put their hands on Prince Nana. And the crazy thing is, if you look off to the side, way in the corner, it's Lio Rush watching the whole motherfucking thing. But since it's not his problem, he didn't save Swerve. So now we have Jamie Hayter. She's backstage, and she says she's taking care of some things that she's been wanting to take care of. And then there's some things that she's looking to take care of. And she says she was coming for one thing, and then it just cut. The screen just went black, and I'm just like, all right, Tony Khan, what happened to the light bill? You paid the light bill? And then here comes another vignette of our girl Julia Hart, who wakes up from bed pretty much leaving off where we left off, from where she thinks she's having a dream of her being a cheerleader again. But this time she's up in bed, and it seems like it's a dream, but then she realized that it was not a dream, and now this entity that's been following her is giving her the whole Julia Hart look back, the hat and the clothes that she was wearing, so she can come back to the dark side. And Julia, please come back to the dark side. So maybe are they foreshadowing that we're going to get a feud between Julia Hart and Jamie Hayter? If that's the case, I'm looking forward to it. All right, main event, we have tag team action. First, we have Private Party, who comes out because the winners of this match will be joined by two other teams to go against Private Party for the AEW Tag Championships at Full Gear. Now, we do have FTR versus the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black, Brody King. Everyone's out in the ring, and I'm just like, FTR is going to win, like they always motherfucking do. And thank God, Tony Khan must have just known that if FTR was going to win, that I was probably going to shake up this world. They end up giving the win to House of Black, which was very surprising to me, because you guys know, like, it just seemed like FTR gets a lot of opportunities over and over again, and finally House of Black gets a moment to also not just be on a pre-show, but to actually be on the main card of a pay-per-view going for some titles. Are they going to win? I don't know. I felt like this was a really great match, and it's great to see, even though, okay, the House of Black, sometimes we don't see them all as a group in terms of just tag team. Sometimes we see them as trios, but I felt more of just them two together, Brody and Malachi. We got a chance to see the chemistry as a tag team, and we got a chance to see them shine as individuals in this match too. So I really appreciated that. And FTR, I know I give y'all a lot of shit, but they're really, really great wrestlers. I just could not stand to see them go for another opportunity for tag titles. Overall, the show I felt was underwhelming, especially for what should have been strong, which is Moxley seizing the Superstation. You didn't seize nothing. You didn't take over anything. I don't know what that was about, but I felt really disappointed. That's your biggest storyline, Tony Khan. We got to do something to make these things more interesting. I know every night can't be a fucking hit, and that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is when you advertise something like Moxley seizes the Superstation, he's taken over, people want to feel like that's what they're going to see. Not Moxley come to the ring with someone we hardly ever see on the show and say, look, I beat up this poor guy and I'm going to talk on the mic for 10 minutes. I didn't like that at all. And I think majority of people was probably expecting to see more based off how they advertise this whole thing to go. The strongest storyline of the show should feel a lot better than this. Either way, we do have things progressing throughout AEW in terms of the tag titles, the world title, TBS title, sure, you know, with Statlander and Chris. Like, certain things there are playing out. However, I just wish things would get a little bit more interesting. We still have less than, 10 days or so before Full Gear. So, Tony Khan, we have enough time to make things even more interesting during the Go Home show for Full Gear. We'll see how that goes next week. Guys, thanks so much for watching my review. I'll be back tomorrow with a review on Ring of Honor. See you guys then. Bye.